Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to this channel. My name is Duta Wambura, and I would just like to thank you for joining in the community, the great community that we have been building on this channel, that obviously has been spilling over onto social media, on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on Facebook. So welcome once again to this channel. If you have not yet subscribed, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it to someone who could benefit from it, because this channel is all about giving back and allowing other people to also have the opportunities that are available abroad. So I am excited once again to have this video, and as the title of this video suggests, this is a video to basically just mention a few things that everyone keeps on asking about. So what are the requirements of applying for an Erasmus Mundus Master's program? And it has been a very generic question, and I was like, you know what, let's just tackle the nitty-gritties. What do you need? What do you need to qualify for a scholarship, to apply for a scholarship for an Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters program? Any of the programs, really. And as you may already know, most of the programs have already closed for applications. Just a few of them, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, or very, very few actually, still have their applications open. In fact, most of them might have applications for self-funded programs still open. So if you're keen on that, definitely go ahead and check out any one of the programs that would be found on the official catalog. So you have to go through the catalog and see which ones perhaps might resonate with your skill set, your experiences, and so on and so forth. So now this video is definitely to help you to maybe prepare ahead of time, such that you have all your documentation in place by the time the programs reopen. Once again, some might start reopening as early as September, mid-September thereabout, others in October, others might open in November. So usually the opening period and the closing period is between sometime, let's say between September all the way even to March, depending on the program. So not all programs will open at the same time or close at the same time. So this is very program dependent. So depending on what program that you would like to go ahead and apply for, then please make sure that you check the deadline that has been stipulated on that program website. So read the fine print so that you can be able to be informed exactly what to expect in terms of the timelines. So now let's get into the nitty-gritties of what exactly do you need to qualify for an Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters program, and for you to actually apply for the scholarship. So in the first place, obviously you do need your Bachelors Certificate. So you do need to have done an undergraduate degree for you to qualify. Now, I have had quite a lot of questions about people who've done perhaps diplomas, higher diplomas, especially from my Nigerian viewers who always ask about their higher national diploma. This is a very gray area, because this is very dependent on a program. Some programs, depending on what other skill sets that you might possibly have, or what other qualifications you possibly would have gotten, you could, and this is a big could, you could be a good candidate for certain programs. However, blanket line for all programs, you will definitely need to have an undergraduate degree, and you may or may not have a first class honors. You can also have a second class upper division, a second class even lower division, but always depends on the experiences that you've had, the skill set that you have, as well as obviously what you will write on your statement of purpose. Will it be a convincing application, and so on and so forth. In fact, you can also find that if you have already maybe done a master's degree or even have done a PhD degree, you would also potentially be accepted for some programs. Some programs are not very stringent in terms of whether you want to do a second master's or you want to do a master's despite you having a PhD. So this is usually very open, and all this information is always found on the program website. Please do not use any other external sources because they might be very misleading. So that's the first thing that you definitely need. The second thing that you need is a transcript. So you would need to have your transcripts ahead of time. So for instance, if you're applying for a program and you have not yet graduated, that's fine, because what you can do is ask for your transcript from your dean of students, or maybe your faculty back in your university. In Kenya, we do have ways where you can go to administrative offices and ask for your transcript, and these transcripts would come in handy if especially you're applying for a course and you have not yet graduated, such that you can be able to upload them and then obviously mention to the consortium, maybe send an email to the consortium saying that your degree certificate is yet to be processed and might be processed at a certain given period of time, obviously give or take depending on the graduation time, the time that it takes for your university to actually process your certificate, and so on and so forth. So this is a very crucial thing that you also need to notice, that if you're in your fourth year, you don't have to say that, oh, I cannot apply for this program. Yes, you can apply for it, and especially if you know when you potentially could graduate from your course. Now, another thing that you definitely need is a passport. I have spoken about this a million times. So if you want to study abroad, whether that's for Erasmus, whether that is for any other program, you really do need to have a passport. So a passport, an international passport, is something that you would need to start processing. If you're in Kenya, you would need to start processing it on e-citizen platforms, and then obviously booking your appointment in the relevant places where it is convenient for you, whether that is in at the outskirts in Embu, in Kisumu, I believe, in the coast, or if you want to go to Nairobi near your house, then you should begin already by applying your international passport. Some programs would also require you to have things to do with a residence certificate, and a residence certificate is something that you would obtain from either your area chief, or you would obtain it from your employer, or a lawyer can also write this for you. And the residence certificate, basically what it is an European version of a proof of where you actually live. So if you live in Europe already, you possibly might be aware that, you know, every single time you move to a different place, you would need to have your contract of the place you're staying, that's the house, or perhaps you have like a utility bill that you're paying, that has your address and name stipulated on that utility bill. So if, for example, you're in Kenya and you have a utility bill, so this would be like a water bill or an electricity bill or an internet bill that has your name and shows the exact address of where you live, then you can utilize that as a proof of residence. However, this is not common in Kenya, so in that case, you can go to your area chief and request them to write a letter that says that you live within the vicinity, or you can ask your employer to also write a letter for you, or a lawyer as well. And in some cases, some people might also have their landlords writing certain declarations that they live within that building. So this is something that you can definitely do on your own. And most of the programs will request for this document. So make sure that you can get it ahead of time before you can also apply for an Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters program. Now, another thing that you definitely do need when you're applying is a statement of purpose. So a statement of purpose is something that is core to your application. So what's a statement of purpose is basically you introducing yourself to someone who's never met you, letting them know that, hey, I'm applying for this program and I'm applying for funding. And I am the best candidate there is for sure. So it has to be a very convincing letter that shows your motivation, your skill set, your experiences, what makes you stand out to be, above and beyond everybody else who is actually applying. Remember, everyone around the world is applying for this program. So you have to show that, hey, I am a better candidate than everybody else. I'm the best candidate that there is. And so this statement of purpose is something that I have also spoken about on this channel. And you can check out some videos that I have done about writing a statement of purpose. So make sure that this statement of purpose has been written in accordance to what the program has requested for. So in that case, this means that it has to be within the word count. So most of them, you'll find them saying that they want 500 words. Others might ask for 1,000 words, others 700 words. So don't go writing 600 words when you have been requested to write 500 words, or write 1,500 words when they only ask for 1,000 words. So make sure that you're following through the instructions. Some of the programs will have some headlines that they have given you that you can fill in your motivation for the program. So make sure that you're also following that so that you are in line with the stipulations of that program. Now, if you want to learn more about a statement of purpose, please make sure that you watch the videos that I have done before on this channel about statement of purpose. Now, another thing that you definitely need is your CV. And your CV is something that is also core to your application. And in most cases, although it is not necessarily required by some programs for you to have a Europass format, it is what is recommended. So it is recommended for you to have a CV under a Europass format, and the Europass format is what is recognized by most European states. So it gets you at a bigger edge or at a higher edge when you have a Europass CV format for you to be able to actually apply for this scholarship. Now, this Europass CV format is also something that I have spoken about on this channel once more, and if you're keen on it, I have shared a template as well on the Erasmus Mundo's Kenyan chapter Facebook group. So make sure you can also check it out on the description box below. Now, one other thing that you definitely have to have when you're applying for this scholarship is a recommendation letter or letters. So recommendation letters are things that, you will have some referees, people who already know you. These people would be possibly like your lecturers or your employer, who can write a really good letter saying that, you're a good candidate for this particular scholarship. So these are people that, one, you need to have a very good rapport with, people who know your journey. For instance, if you're in the university and maybe this is your supervisor or a lecturer whom you actually have a very good relationship with, these are people that you can approach and ask them that, hey, could you please write for me a recommendation letter so that I can be able to apply for a program. It could be even for Erasmus or any other program anyway. So this is something that you would need to do ahead of time. Now, there are some programs, some Erasmus programs that usually ask you to give an email of your referee, and then the program itself will reach out to that referee and they will request for a letter from them. So what you do in that case is to definitely make sure that you are offering an email that is very official, because they will not be accepting Gmail accounts. They have to be emails that are official for organizations. So it could be the official email of your lecturer in the university, or the official email of your employer or your supervisor at work. And so you need to forward these emails to them, and then they will reach out to those referees that you have mentioned, and they will request for the reference letters to be sent. So now what to do as well is to make sure that you alert these people that the program is going to reach out to them and request for a reference letter, and so you can request for them to maybe do it as soon as they can be able to, so that you are not late in terms of the deadlines and all these kind of things. So make sure that you can also write to the consortium, perhaps maybe tell them that, hey, this is a referee whom I've given, and perhaps maybe they're going to take a few more days before they can, reach out to you with a reference letter. Such kind of things. Consortiums are always very, very, very open to answering questions for students, potential students, prospective students. So feel free to send an email to them. They will always reply to you. Now, one other thing that you also definitely need is to ensure that, you are reading the fine print on the program website. So that this fine print usually can give you the selection criteria, or what a certain program is actually looking for that puts you ahead of everybody else. So some programs will rate your application depending on maybe things like your statement of purpose, how you do fare on your interview, how you articulate your thoughts during the interview, perhaps your CV. It's always enlisted because each program has their own way of rating the applications. And they also have a certain number of people whom they would want to actually offer a scholarship, and other people whom they would want to have as self-funded students. So all this information is always on the program website. So it's very, very crucial for you to read the eligibility criteria, the selection procedure, selection criteria, such that you are at par and you know exactly what to expect and what you would need to put more effort in as opposed to other areas. So that's very, very important. Now, one other thing that I want to mention here is the fact that some programs will definitely ask for a very small application fee. And this application fee, I've seen some programs asking for 30 euros, which could be around 4,500 or 5,000 Kenyan shillings. So this is an application fee that only a very, very few number of programs are still requesting for. What I can say is that it's definitely worth it, because sometimes you might be pressed on for money and all these kind of things, yet you want to have this application going. So yes, some programs still ask for this application fee, so you can definitely pay for it. And I would say it's a good investment. Yes, some of them will never refund you, but it is definitely a good investment for you to be able to go ahead and do it. So some programs will have some application fees. I've enlisted some of them on the group, the Facebook group for Kenya, the Kenyan chapter Facebook group. So maybe you can check out some of them there. But make sure that you can also ask for maybe a waiver sometimes, that maybe the consortium can give you a waiver for it. And speak of waivers, now there's one thing that you will find with most of the programs is that they will request for you to have an English test. And this English test could be an IELTS test, could be a TOEFL test, it could be quite a number of enough English tests that are available nowadays. And so you will check on each of the websites. They will tell you, hey, we need you to have an English test going. So can you provide this for us? Now, since if you're listening to me and maybe you're from Kenya and maybe you studied obviously in English and maybe you don't even have this way of doing the English test, or maybe it's too expensive for you, you can request for a waiver. Now, this is at the sole discretion of the consortium. Some consortiums will say, yes, okay, please send us a letter saying that you actually studied in English. Other consortiums will tell you, no, you have to have this letter, or you have to have this English test for us to accept you as a good candidate for this program. So what you can do is to send an email to that consortium way ahead of time, so that they can be able to evaluate your situation and they can tell you yes or no, or maybe or no, there's no way we can be able to waive this test for you, so you have to do it, so that you can have ample time for you to do the test and to have the results and then upload them as soon as the program opens for applications. So this is something that is very crucial for you to note, that yes, you can request for a waiver. Some programs will also tell you on their website that they don't give the waivers. Others will be very open to it depending on what structure they do have. Now, one other thing that you possibly would need during your application is to have perhaps maybe a mentor or someone who can check your application. And this is someone perhaps you can find on the social media pages of a certain program or on LinkedIn. Ding, 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 ding. You can go on LinkedIn and you can check for people who've already done, alumni who've already done a certain course, and you can introduce yourself nicely, ask them whether it's possible for them to check your application and see where that leads, obviously. So this is not something that you would expect that someone will say yes to, obviously, because people are busy with their lives and so on and so forth. So you can make sure that you can check out even some stories of past alumni on the program websites. You can also check them out on maybe places like Facebook or places like Instagram or Twitter, if that is your forte, really depending on you. But most of the programs will have a social part of their website, or maybe they have it on their Facebook. Maybe they have a Facebook group or a Facebook page or whatever it is, or a LinkedIn page. Or you can do your due diligence and ask within certain communities, alumni communities. Perhaps you can have access to, like for instance, the Kenyan community or the Nigerian community, and then you can request for someone to actually go ahead and check that application for you and give their thoughts to you. So this is something that you would need, at least to make sure that someone else has already checked your application, especially the statement of purpose, so that you can be able to have a very good quality of application. So now these are some of the few things that you definitely would need. Obviously, this is something that is a process. Make sure that you're not just applying for one program. You can definitely apply for more than one program and you would not be disqualified. Before, it used to be a limit of 3 programs. Nowadays, we don't have that limit anymore. So you can definitely apply for more programs so that you are, casting your net as far and as wide as possible. So I do hope this little video has helped you for a minute here. Obviously, we talk a lot about Erasmus. Please let me know any other questions that you might be having about the requirements, the general requirements, what to do where, and I will definitely be happy to answer them on the description box below. And also, just to make sure that you are going into the right groups, asking the right questions, the help is right there. Don't sit alone with a question or wondering or having so many thoughts about your application, yet you're not sharing this with someone else. Make sure that you can ask someone, share this maybe in a group or whatever else that you find fit for you. And I do hope this video helps you in a little bit, gives you an overview of what to prepare for come September, so that you can go ahead and shoot your shot. Do not shoot your foot, as we say on this channel. Make sure that you're shooting your shot as many times as possible. So once again, please interact with me, have a good one, and keep subscribed. Bye.